Hi, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we'll look at some of my favourite locos and trains that I own, a short running session, and I'll try to recreate what happens on the prototype. Hope you enjoy. So the first train here is a Class 85. I've tried to recreate the cobbler service that used to go from Euston to Northampton circa 1990s. Mark 1 and Mark 2 Network South East stop. As a Helgen Freightliner 86 with a sound chip.
This train is formed on your service to London Euston, calling, making Queen Central, blocking, leaving buzzard, Watford Junction.
Class 350 London North Western service from Northampton to Euston. That's comprised of 8 coaches. You'll notice that I'm running pantographs down as I've had an issue with them clashing with the bridges. Of course, you've got to have your Virgin Pendolino on a West Coast mainline service. This is my favourite loco, my Dapol Class 59 with a Roads and Rails sound chip fitted and a mega bass speaker. The train it's towing, their backman, sorry I can't remember the designation of the wagons, but they've all got homemade loads in and most of them have been weathered now. Nice shot there of the station building on the bridge. There will eventually be more trees. The Pretendolino here, probably my most expensive train. By the time I bought all the coaches, we were probably looking at about 900 quid to get this together. Hornby Mark III DVT. One of my many Class 37s in Rail Operations Group Phoenix livery. This is Andromeda. She's on an engineer's train. They're Hornby engineers wagons. Sorry again, don't know the designation, but they've all got homemade loads in. Nice overhead shot from the bridge there. I've tried to recreate the areas where I would have stood as a kid spotting. Obviously you can't get there now because it's a road where I'm standing. As modellers we try to recreate what we remember as kids. Again, this would be a view from the Blue Bridge. Locomotive Services Limited on a charter, King Arthur 87, Oxford Rail Mark IIIs, usually ones with more coaches. Backman National Railway Museum Limited Edition Deltic. Came as a box set with King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, and that was bought for me as a gift by my wife many years ago. I fitted a sound chip to this. Doesn't get run out very often, this one. Second-hand Mark 1 coaches I got from a stock sale somewhere. I think they're Backman. The Duchess of Sutherland. This is my oldest surviving loco. I had this set as a child and grew up and lost it, so my missus saw it for sale in Marks and Spencer's in the early 2000s and got it for me for Christmas because she knew how much I love the Duchess of Sutherland. The sound effect there is taken from a video of the Duchess of Sutherland. Class 47 Duke of Edinburgh's award. Now she's put in my train of Pullman coaches because I was going to put them with the Merchant Navy, but I got it out of the box and one of the wires had come adrift, so it wouldn't work. So she's standing in. Bought that loco shortly after moving to Wales from a local hobby shop. The plate section bridges there are a recent addition to the layout. A Curascale Class 92 Marco Polo, sound fitted from the factory, pulling a rake of Hellion cargo wagons. These are absolutely crap. They run like a bag of nails. You won't see it, but just as she goes past under the bridge, the Hunt's couplings let go. Hunt's couplings, the most overrated piece of crap in modern railway history. I get mine now from a guy on eBay called Adrian Mole. His are much better, they're made of a different plastic, they're not as brittle, and they've got stronger magnets. And the nice thing is he'll actually make them to order, and you can tell him if you want them made longer or shorter. Can't see West Hill Wagon Works doing that. Bachmann Class 70 with an engineer's train of auto ballisters. I really must debrand these and slap some Network Rail stickers on them. Yeah, it's one of those jobs I've got to get round to. A drone shot. Shout out to 00 Dave, stole this idea from him. Check out his channel, he's quite entertaining. This Class 70 was bought used, factory fitted with sound. I must get in there and change the speaker, but I think it's a Locksound 3.5, so getting hold of 100 ohm speakers is quite difficult. So I might end up replacing the sound chip with a Locksound 5 and upgrading the speaker at the same time. Another drone shot. Freightliner Class 57 on ubiquitous containers. This model is sound fitted, but I haven't got the sound switched on, and this was bought second hand from my model railway club during one of the mini stock sales. I think I've got 3 Class 57s now, 2 of which you'll see today. The station announcements are taken from an app that I downloaded off the internet, and I think it's called Station Announcements. Station Announcement Generator. Ah! Another shot of the Class 57 coming through here. Now, believe it or not, this was filmed using a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro at 6K, full 6K resolution. So I'm not sure why you're getting that hazy look. It is zoomed in through the software to try and get a closer look. That could be why. Our Freightliner Evolution. The Birds Song and Traffic Effects were downloaded off the internet. Here's the other Class 57. This is Chaz Zavara. He's dragging a dead 466 networker to the works for refurbishment. The idea behind the layout is to recreate all the movements in the centre sidings. The main layout itself, with the trains going around, they're sort of an addition. I just wanted a roundy layout so I could have stock passing all the time. But at the moment, well, going back a bit, I do fully intend to make the layout fully automatic using iTrain, but I've yet to get the feedback sensors and get it all working. But eventually, so the diesel freight and all the steam trains and the passenger trains will all be automatic, and they will be run to a timetable, which would allow me just to play trains in the centre sidings and the yard, which is pretty much why I built the layout. It's where I grew up. I remember it from my childhood and train spotting there as a teenager. Eventually this will be a very much limited view because there'll be trees in the way, trees and bushes in the way. So where those Land Rovers are parked, just before you get to the track, there's a load of scrub that needs to be put in. So he'll pull up onto the head shunt here and wait whilst the shunter runs off and sets all the roads. And he'll change ends and then be called forward by the shunter onto the reception sidings. Now on the real location, this movement wouldn't be necessary, but because of the limited space obviously in 00, I've had to make compromises. So we reverse that train onto what I call the reception sidings. I'm using KD couplers, so I retrofit a KD coupler to the 466, and they are programmed using the Z21 traction settings so they can run as a train or as individuals. Nice little sound effect there of the coupling being dropped, and the 57 pulls away and goes back up to the head shunt. I'm quite sure what it's slowing down for. There might have been a fox crossing the line, or maybe he realised he was speeding. There's actually a 5 mile an hour speed limit on the site. Yeah, I bought this model brand new, weathered from Bachmann, and I don't know whether it's the chip or it's the motor, but it's not the best runners. Best of my runners. I'll take it apart and have a look, see why. Might just need a different chip put in it. Oh, one thing that I'm going to mention is I noticed a lot of the people that view my videos aren't actually subscribers. If you're one of those people, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps YouTube push the video to other interested parties. And I've also got a Facebook page dedicated to the layout, and it's called Wolverton Centre Sidings in 4mm. So Class 57 is now making its way off the centre sidings back onto the main line, where it'll go to wherever its final destination is. You may notice that some of the shots the fences are down. That's because I've not glued them in place yet. They've got to be painted. This is my Hornby TTS Class 8. As it says on the screen, I had this repainted by TRS Trains. Kyle, good friend of mine, Swansea Railway Modellers Group. He did a very nice job of that. And some of my locos I have had weathered by Dan at DH Loco Works. Takes his time going up. Obviously it's a Class 8, it's limited to, I think its top speed's 15 miles an hour, but it's limited to 5 miles an hour on the centre sidings. And you know, if you watch this sort of thing in real life, it takes a long time for it to traverse from one end of the sidings to the other. I mean, in real life I think it's about a mile long. It's not a scale mile on my model railway, obviously, I haven't got the room, but I've tried to recreate it and capture it the best I can. But you'll see parked up, there's another Class 8, there's the multi-purpose vehicle, there's a couple of barrier coaches and another Class 8 in. Excuse the bad driving. I think he's had too much sauce. I think he's still hungover from last night. He was in the Crawford Arms. There was a local band playing, and he imbibed too many pints of bitter. He's feeling a bit worse for wear today, so we'll forgive him that. Just let the manager see it. The bird song in the background is, although it's a generic bird song sound file I downloaded, it does actually represent the kind of birds that you would hear if you was to stand down at the centre sidings in the summer or early autumn when this is set. There's blackbirds and chaffinches and all sorts in there. So the Class 8 will drag the 466 back up to the other end of the centre sidings. And then the shunter will reset the road so we can go down into the incline to the underpass, which is known locally as the Hole. Where the train will cross under the main line and climb back up the incline on the other side into the works access road. That office building that you see there with the lights on, it's a recent addition to the layout. It was actually part of a layout I built during lockdown and then I gave to my grandson. And then my grandson has decided he's no longer interested in playing with railways, he wants to concentrate on his PlayStation. So I've had the layout back and I've dismantled it and reused what I could. That barrier wagon that you can see there, that's a homemade one. It's been kit bashed from a chassis from a VDA van. I've added some planking to the top. The brake wheel is off of a brake van, and the buffer ends are from a tar wagon, believe it or not. That's a complete mixture of bits and pieces, just to represent what is at the yard. They do actually have a barrier wagon that looks very similar to that. So I destroyed two perfectly good wagons to create that. It works. It looks right. And at the end of the day, if it looks right, it is right, isn't it? I mean, it's not the kind of place where you can just hop over the fence and take photographs. There's quite tight security on there now. Not like it was in the early 80s when I was a teenager, and we used to jump over the fence at weekends and go and climb all over the trains and the shunters. But then, back then, health and safety wasn't such an issue, and we weren't causing any damage. We weren't graffitiing and doing anything like that. We were just a group of lads that were interested in what was going on in the yard. Always left it as we found it. So now the shunter is heading towards the incline down to the underpass. You maybe can't see it, but the entire layout is on a 2-degree incline from left to right, and I did it like that so that my drop away inclines that go under the underpass would be as gentle as possible. Well, I did a 4% incline and found that the trains I wanted to recreate wouldn't go up and down it in model form, so I literally reset the baseboards of the main layout left to right, and it's got a 2% incline from one end to the other, which has correspondingly meant I could drop the incline on the inclines to 2% and be able to recreate the kind of trains that I wanted to. You very rarely see anything other than Class 8s up and down this section of track. There are videos of Class 37s doing rail tours back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I've got video of a Class 47 going down there, and I think I've also got video of a Class 67 going down there on a rail tour. But day-to-day work, it's the shunters that make the most use of that. Here she comes back up again. Now that little crossover bridge is actually derelict in real life now. It's not used, but I thought, why waste an opportunity for play value? So I reinstated it, and the 4 sidings you can see to the left, in real life they've been lifted. But again, for play value, I added them in on the model. Let's see, the centre sidings is actually controlled by DCC Concepts Alpha Central Control panel, which you can see bolted to the fascia there. So iTrain will not know that those points are in existence, because it doesn't need to know. All it needs to know is just drive stock around the main line and through the storage sidings on the other side of the shed. For this bit, this is all going to be completely manual and used to recreate stock movements. One of my very, very early videos on the channel was this shunter shunting some Royal coaches, because the Royal train is stored at Wolverton, albeit not in its original building. That's now been converted to luxury apartments, but the Royal train is still stored at Wolverton, and it's own dedicated train shed in the main part of the works now. And you can't have a model of Wolverton without a Royal train. Unfortunately, because of the limitations on the length of the shed, which is 25 feet long if you're interested, I can't have a full-length Royal train dropped off to the yard and picked back up again, because it just won't fit into my sidings. Oh, if only I had another 25 feet. Got to have a Class 66 on your layout, haven't you? That one's been weathered by DH Loco Works. I said I wanted it dirty, and he made it dirty. Weathering's one of those things you can do it or you can't, and I'm one of those people. I just tend to be a bit too heavy. That's got a Lego Bifferman sound card in it as well. I did. It actually was a sound fitted loco from you, but I robbed the sound chip out of it for my DB Schenker Class 66. Okay, here comes Hornby Class 16 TTS sound on Bachmann tankers. As you can see, dusk is falling. Time for me to go home and have my tea. There we go. That bus needs its brakes looking at, they're a bit squeaky. Well, thanks for your time and patience. I hope you enjoyed watching some of my stock go around the layout and the recreation of what happens at the prototype location. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Cheers.